we're going to go ahead and get started right on into TWIG. Welcome to TWIG, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from the new AAA indie games initiative to Jabba the Hutt extorting in real life with some video games in between. If you're listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review, click that like button over on YouTube, or come and listen live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. We'd love to have you here. Folks, as always, we're going to be starting this one with our what have you been watching, what have you been playing, what have you been reading over the past weekend, what you've been getting into. I'd encourage those in the chat on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch to comment live what you might be watching, playing, and reading. And I'm going to let our special guest, our level 2 member for tonight, start off with introducing themselves and then letting us know what they've been watching, playing, and reading.
Hello, I am the Mayflies. Watching, playing, reading. Still watching Peaky Blinders, kind of, sort of, when I feel like it. That's a really good show, for those of you who haven't seen it. I've been playing a new game, y'all. Well, not really new, but new to me. Turns out Bug Fables on my Switch had been on my wish list since it came out in 2019, and I forgot about it. And I've been playing it, and I'm obsessed. And V is adorable. And for those of you who don't know, I'm obsessed with bees. So it's great. It's an RPG. It's turn-based. It's got a bee as one of the main characters. It's great. It's perfect. Reading, I have an answer for this time. I've been listening to I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. And has been very cathartic for me for many, many reasons. And she reads it as well, the audio version. So that's been really nice to listen to and have a good time with. So
yeah, that's been one that's been on my list for quite a while. I will eventually give it the read. I definitely did not grow up with Jeanette McCurdy. Like, she's not one of my child stars that I remember, but I am fascinated by the story. I'm fascinated by all the stuff that's happening right now, just with child stars in general. I think they're always fascinating people.
The creator is mentioned a lot. She probably couldn't put him in there by name, right, for legal reasons, but we all know who she means when she says the creator.
Right. Yeah, it's been an insane season for sure. So I have a feeling once you get done with that book, you might want to end up watching the documentary, because I have a feeling it's gonna just, get all these interests firing. So good stuff. Well, I am Nerd Pastor Nate. I'm the pastor here of Checkpoint Church, a real life church, and I'm a real life pastor. This is what I have been watching, playing, and reading. I've binged the entire Fallout TV show. 2 thumbs up. Super enjoyed it. I honestly was kind of nervous about it. I am not a hater of a video game adaptation to TV shows. I think that I could now at this point list on more than one hand just how many good video game adaptations there are out there. And this is another one. It adds onto the list. I think it's really good. I am admittedly biased towards Walton Goggins. I think anything he does is gold. And so seeing him in the show made me really, really happy. But I also just super enjoyed the story. I enjoyed how encapsulated it was. It was really nice and short. It wasn't too much. It didn't take itself too seriously, but also took itself seriously enough. I think I highly recommend it. I don't know if I would give it a perfect 10. I think that IGN, honestly, with a 9, pretty fair. That it was really good. I don't think I enjoyed it as much as Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but that's kind of difficult to match up to. I've also been watching all of the animes, catching up with all the season and all the fun stuff there. And so the one that I have mentioned most recently was God's Games We Play, which is too many plurals. But God's Games We Play made a reference to Ace Attorney in their 3rd episode. And so now they have won my respect and my love and my admiration. And I will watch this entire show, even if it's garbage, because it makes me so happy that they made an Ace Attorney joke. Speaking of Ace Attorney, I am playing Ace Attorney Investigations 2, which for those of you that are fans of the series, that is one that has never been released in the US. That is one that I'm reading a fan dub of it. And it is where Miles Edgeworth, the antagonist of the original trilogy, is actually your playable character. Super fun. I'm also playing through Pokemon X for the first time. I've never played X and Y and decided to give those a shot. So that should be fun. I just started reading a new book called Autism and Worship out of Baylor. Yes, Baylor University. So Autism and Worship out of Baylor University. I'm super intrigued to learn more about this one. Liturgical Theology of Autism and Worship should be interesting. So I'll let you know if that one is worth reading for anybody that is interested in the subject of that one. I will say it is a university read, so it is expensive and more than I wanted to spend, but I think that it is intriguing nonetheless. I'm also reading Kurt Vonnegut's Cat's Cradle, and pretty much obsessed with it. I enjoyed Slaughterhouse-5. Like, I enjoyed it. This one I love. I think that people praise Slaughterhouse-5, but this was like, ooh, no, this is the good one, and I'm super enjoying it. So good stuff from Kurt Vonnegut. A lot of video game, not references to video games, but video games have referenced it in really fun ways. Let's look at the chat real fast, see what people are watching, playing, and reading. Sugar Haiku just finished Fallout, and then Sporadic Randomness playing Earthbound for B3. I should say I finished that one. Luigi's Mansion 3 and Bendy reading Nimona for book club, but haven't gotten far. I'm almost done with Nimona. Welcome in to I'm Idaho. Glad you're here. Mindful Marlena, welcome in as well. Sneaky has been watching Fallout, reading, finished the 3 Body Problem, and is playing Tilu 2. Tennille loves X and Y. It's my first experience with them. I'm very nervous, but so far enjoying it. I haven't gotten my first badge yet. And Wise Lemur says, let me know about that one, the autism and worship. I absolutely will. Good stuff. All right. Well, continue to let us know what you've been watching, playing, and reading, but we're going to go into some of the news for tonight. So here are the big things. The first one, the Triple I Initiative. This was an interesting one that came kind of out of nowhere for me. I didn't hear about it until Twyla brought it up to me, but this was kind of a Summer Games Fest, Gamescom, whatever you want to call it, big announcement schedule for indie games. So Triple I indie games. This is instead of AAA, Triple I, some big deals here. They started off with a real banger of Slay the Spire 2 officially getting announced for early access in 2025. Risk of Rain 2, for those of you that are fans of that one, is getting a new content update called Devotion, and they are also getting a new skin for Dead Cells. And I've got the next one highlighted, so take this next announcement, Mayfly.
Yes, Shadows of Doubt is doing a sharpshooter assassin update. So Shadows of Doubt, I streamed it ages ago when I streamed, which was not for very long, so you guys didn't miss out on anything, I promise. It's a procedural detective sim, and they have a brand new sharpshooter assassin update, and I'm very excited because I haven't actually played the game since the last time I streamed it, and it looks so good, and it's
like
such a fun
Voxel.
game.
It's the Voxel game, right?
Yeah, it's the voxel one. But everything you do is procedurally generated. So you make a name for your character, and then you can procedurally generate the world, and then every single case you get is completely different.
Interesting. I do like detective games, and I've never played a detective sim, so I'm fascinated at what that could even possibly mean, especially the procedural element.
Oh, I got stuck in vents all the time trying to escape people's apartments. That was fun. That was a fun time.
I'm so curious. Going on with the list, Gestalt, Steam, and Cylinder got a release date. This 2D steampunk platformer that's coming out on the 21st of May. Vampire Survivors, for fans of that franchise, they just keep on getting those collabs, with the latest one being Contra, getting a DLC called Operation Guns out on the 9th of May, and also introducing a character that is Lupine, a werewolf. Undermine 2, Thorium have announced Undermine 2, a sequel to their well-regarded action RPG. What the Car is releasing a Steam demo with a 5th of September release date. If you like that arcadey style game, it looks ridiculous. A new medieval kingdom simulator, Norland, is coming to early access on the 16th of May. Darkest Dungeon 2 got a new DLC mode. I actually don't think it is DLC. It's just a new mode entirely called Kingdoms. If you like that game, then there's more of it coming. Rakugaki is a new game from Wabi Sabi Games. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see much of it, but it is proclaiming a 2024 summer release date, which I would have thought they would have showed a little bit more of the gameplay for such a soon release date. But it does look super cool, like Jet Set Radio. I'm intrigued to see what it actually turns out to be. Raven's Watch is getting an update called Fall of Avalon, coming out on the 22nd of April next week. The Last Spell, Dwarves of Runenberg, is getting a DLC called The Last Spell on the 24th of April. Got another trailer for Cat Quest 3 for fans of the Cat Quest series. Brotato is getting a new DLC called Abyssal Terrors, in which you'll be going underwater, and it's also going to be getting a couch co-op update soon. There's a new historical strategy game, Old World Behind the Throne. Or no, Old World, and it's getting it's getting an expansion called Behind the Throne. Okay, and that arrives on the 28th of May. Palworld officially announced their arena multiplayer mode coming out later this year with no specific date. 33 Immortals, the game that kind of made jaws drop last year whenever they announced it was going to be a game that had 33 players at once, is getting a closed beta on the 24th of May. Wizard of Legend, we got some look at that sequel. Lacera, Summit Kingdom, looks like a new cozy game coming out literally as soon as Triple I Initiative happens, so it should be out out now for early access. V Rising got a DLC with Castlevania. So for those of you that need some more Castlevania in your life, that's there for you. Neveralone 2 got announced, a new sequel to the Neveralone game in which you are an indigenous child traversing a world of ice. And then the big closer that was quite a surprise, The Rogue Prince of Persia, a roguelite being brought out in a collaboration with Ubisoft and Dead Cells. So pretty cool stuff. I really like what they did and what they showed, especially if you've not seen The Rogue Prince of Persia, just go look up that trailer, because let me tell you, the art is gorgeous. They did such a good job, and it's one that you want to see even if you're not that into the Prince of Persia games. It was just gorgeous. So with that, Mayfly, did any of those get your attention other than the procedural one?
I wish I could say yes, but y'all know I'm real picky.
Did you watch the one for the Rakugagi? Like, I don't know your thoughts on Jet Set Radio, but I do think the art was super cool. Like, I don't know if I'll play that one, but I'm glad that it's being made just because it looks
and
so
I'm kind of obsessed with anything that Gearbox puts out,
right?
To be fair with you, so I'll probably have to look into that a little bit more.
I'm super intrigued with it, and I really would encourage anybody to look up that Rogue Prince of Persia, because that was a really fun art piece, if nothing else. Even if the game totally stinks, they created a really cool trailer. Thumbs up for that. All right, on to our next bit of the night. Feel free to weigh in the comments, folks, as you are rolling in. We're going to get into our second news story.
So I was going to ask how you wanted me to do this, because I'm just going to go out and say BG3, Baldur's Gate 3 won 5 BAFTA awards.
It sure did. I would say go through the winners of each category. But yes, BG3 absolutely swept the BAFTAs.
Absolutely swept. So for the BAFTA for animation, went to Hi-Fi Rush Dev Team, Tango Gameworks Bethesda. The BAFTA for artistic achievement went to Alan Wake 2 Dev Team with Remedy. Audio achievement also went to Remedy with Alan Wake 2. Best game, my babes, BG3, Hilarion Studios, love them. BAFTA for British game was the Viewfinder Dev Team, Sad Owl Studios, and Thunderful Publishing. Debut game was Venba, which we've talked about a lot on TWIG, Psy Games. BAFTA for Evolving Game was Cyberpunk 2077, CD Projekt Red. BAFTA for Family Game was Super Mario Bros. Wonder and Nintendo. Game Beyond Entertainment went to Chia and Kepler Interactive, which was also we've talked about a lot on TWIG, which was really cool. The BAFTA for Game Design went to Dave the Diver, which I still feel like I need to play, and Mint Rocket. Multiplayer went to Super Mario Bros. Wonder again and Nintendo. Music went to Borislav Slav with BG3 with Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian Studios. Narrative went to Baldur's Gate 3 and Larian Studios. New Intellectual Property BAFTA went to the Viewfinder Dev Team, Sad Owl Studios. Performer in a leading role went to Najee Jeter as Miles Morales in Spider-Man 2. Performer in a supporting role went to Andrew Wincott as Raphael in BG3, which I think was well deserved because Raphael is awful.
Was one you really haven't seen. I mean, I feel like that has not been a role or a nomination that's come up at all. So
yeah, because Neil Newbins, swept all of the awards for BG3 so far for voice acting. So it was really good to see Wincott pull that for Raphael, because that was well done, and also I hated Raphael so much.
He pulled it off well.
That was the purpose. Yep. So it worked. Technical achievement went to Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Nintendo. And Player's Choice, the BAFTA for Player's Choice, went to BG3, Baldur's Gate 3, and Larian Studios, my babes. So
there you go. Yeah, it's good stuff. I always have to love on my indies. It makes me happy to see a lot of indie games that didn't get attention in other arenas get it here. In particular, Viewfinder really kind of got overlooked in almost every category. And I'm glad that Cocoon didn't win anything, because that game does not deserve to win all the things that it's won so far. And Venba, I'm glad that Venba won a lot of things. And she got some attention. I mean, I'm happy for the games that finally did get some attention. Yeah.
I need to play Venba. I really should, because I am Indian.
It's
I really should play that game.
Totally playable. It is one that you definitely don't want to play if you're hungry, because they do talk a lot about food. But it's good stuff. It's good stuff, and it talks about food and family, how we bond
in
around.
Over a decade. So that's probably what's gonna make me think of. And then I'm gonna cry a little bit.
Oh, it's definitely a tearjerker as well. So it's got all those things. Made me happy to see the list and happy to see some different names on there. And yeah, I give it a big thumbs up. I continue to be sad for the music team behind Tears of the Kingdom. I understand that it wasn't everybody's cup of tea, but man, they did such a good job and they're getting no recognition. I'm glad for every video essay and podcast that goes out, but the iterative work that they did in the music is like, it's really good. And it stinks that there can only be one winner. They did get the nomination and they do have plenty of people talking about it out there. Yeah. And of course, Baldur's Gate. I'm not gonna downplay
Can't help it. I listen to that soundtrack on the daily.
Not gonna downplay it, but it just makes me sad to see them not get any recognition for it beyond good video essays and podcasts out there. But good job to all of the people that got to all of the different places. Let's catch up in the chat a little bit. Coyote says, watching just started Renegade Nell on Disney Plus, literally as in less than 10 minutes. Playing, gotten really into a little mobile game called Monsters Never Cry. And reading, fallen down into a Witcher fanfic spiral and starting to read a Stranger Things fic. Is that a fanfic as well, or is that one of their spinoffs? Because that's something I'm curious. You do say AO3 author, so I'm going to guess fanfic. But cool stuff. Neat. Perry, welcome in. Thank you for your sub as well. We've got some love for Wonder, some love for Tears of the Kingdom there as well. Yeah, I wasn't surprised at all to see Mario take the family this year. It's a new 2D Mario game. Like, what's it going to not win? Like, it's 2D Mario. They aren't going to let that, slide by and skirt by without too much attention. With that, do let us know your thought on the BAFTA list. We're going to get into our next one. Xbox Game Pass. Microsoft has announced the user interface, or UI, for Xbox Cloud Gaming. We'll be adding several social features that align it more closely with the Xbox console dashboard. This update, currently available for Xbox insiders in the alpha skip-ahead ring, integrates tools like Xbox Party Chat directly into the web browser, allowing players to start a party chat, manage friend lists, and more without needing to rely on external apps like Discord. These features will also be available on smart TVs and MetaQuest headsets, although the party chat functionality is not yet supported on TVs. This upgrade is part of a broader effort to improve the cloud gaming service, which has also recently started testing mouse and keyboard support for games like Fortnite and Age of Empires 2. However, despite these advancements, some technical issues still hinder the platform's potential, as noted in IGN's review on it. Microsoft has not specified when these updates will be available to all users. Not really much of a story there beyond the fact that it's just kind of cool that they're continuing to expand upon the cloud service. I am a fan of the Xbox Cloud in particular. I think they do a really good job, and I do not note any issues or technical issues behind it. I think that sometimes it doesn't work, and then I have to remind myself that I'm using a random Bluetooth controller that I've got hooked up to my random phone over my random Wi-Fi network, trying to play a game that I pay $10 for, and I'm like, it's okay if it doesn't work every single time that I try to boot it up, and I may have to go do some laundry and come back to it. But it is what it is, and I think that it's cool that they're continuing to expand on this, especially if this is a very viable future for Xbox in the world where they really should be moving past their consoles.
Yeah. I mean, I don't touch my Xbox anymore, to be honest with you. But, that's cool. That's about what I got.
Yeah. I think that's more than fair of a kind of like, yeah, this is neat. A lot of these stories sometimes, they have something for us, and then sometimes it's just like, cool, I'm glad. Good to know that. New PlayStation Plus and Game Pass games coming out in April. The second wave has officially been announced. So some pretty exciting games coming out in the next little while. Video Game Donkey's game Animal Well is officially going to be coming to the PS5 on release, which is pretty cool. Tales of Kenzara Zao, I think, is doing the exact same thing, coming out on release on PS5. Dave the Diver is coming to the PS Plus system. Oddballers, Construction Crew, The Crew 2, Raji and Ancient Epic, Lego Ninjago movie video game, which is the funniest title I've ever read. And now, or Play With Your Food, Deliver Us Mars, Lego Marvel's Avengers, Miasma Chronicles, and Stray Blade, which I think somebody posted today in Twig that, what's his name? Nier Yokotaro likes Stray Blade more than Nier, which I thought was funny. So neat stuff there. Some classics games that are coming to the PlayStation Plus Classics catalog in April. Alone in the Dark, The New Nightmare, Star Wars, Rebel Assault 2, The Hidden Empire, and Medieval.
Oh, goodness.
Yep.
Gosh, that's a throwback.
It's good stuff.
Wow.
All right, let's keep it going
Okay.
with the Xbox Game Pass.
Yep. Xbox Game Pass, April 2024, Wave 2 lineup. Orcs Must Die 3 for cloud console and PC is on April 17th, so tomorrow. EA Sports NHL 24 for console on EA Play, April 18th. I Googled how to pronounce this and I still didn't get a good answer.
I'm going to say Iodine.
Iodine, that's what I was going to say. Chronicle, 100 Heroes, cloud console and PC on April 23rd. Another Crab's Treasure, cloud
Very
console
fun.
and PC on April 25th. If that is about a little crab digging for treasure,
Oh, it's
I'm
a Dark
gonna be
Souls.
obsessed.
It's Dark Souls with a crab. Have you not seen it? It looks so good.
No.
Yeah. It's a Souls-like, but you're a crab. And you like
Oh.
equip trash at the bottom of the sea and then like different shells as your armor. Yeah, it's super fun.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Manor Lords game preview comes to PC April 26th. Have a Nice Death. Thank you. I hope so. Comes to cloud console and PC on April 30th. And then we've got 6 games leaving Game Pass on April 30th. You can save 20% on your purchase if you keep them in your library after that, though. 7 Days to Die, which is interesting because that's been on Game Pass for ages. And they haven't updated the Xbox version, so I don't know why it's been on there. But that's besides the point. On cloud console and PC. The Siege, same, cloud console and PC. EA Sports NHL 22, console. Loot River, cloud console and PC. Pikuniku on cloud console and PC is also leaving, and Ravenlock for cloud console and PC is also leaving.
Much to Trombone's chagrin. So I normally don't put the ones that are leaving on there, but somebody needs to let Trombone know that she's got 2 weeks to play Ravenlock. She has put that game up every single month for Button Bash Brigade, and now I feel guilty.
I
feel so guilty that it's never won out over the top. So hopefully Trombone will be able to put that one to the top of the list and play it in the next 2 weeks before it leaves the cloud service. So good stuff there. Let us know, folks, if you intend to play any of those games, if any of them get your attention. I am personally going to play Animal Well. That's going to be a day one for me. Tales of Kenzara Zhao is going to be a day one for me, hopefully, because I'm curious about that one. And I had no intention to play Stray Blade until I read the article about Yoko Taro really liking it. Now I'm curious. Another Crab's Treasure is also going to be one that I very quickly play. I did play the demo for that one and got a pretty good vibe for it, but it's too memeable to not play it and experience it. It's going to be a good time. But yeah, with that, let's get into our next one, which, by the way, has changed today. Like, keeps changing and progressing in ways, shapes, and forms. Star Wars Outlaws. Ubisoft has addressed the criticism surrounding the Star Wars Outlaws Season Pass by clarifying that Jabba the Hutt and the Hutt Cartel will be integral to the game for all players, regardless of the edition that they purchase. The controversy initially stemmed from the inclusion of the Jabba's Gambit mission as part of the pricier Gold, which is $109.99, and Ultimate, which is $129.99 editions of the game, which seemed to restrict this content to those who pay more. Ubisoft explains that while Jabba the Hutt plays a central role in the game's narrative, the specific Jabba's Gambit mission is an optional extra available only to Season Pass holders. This has left some players concerned about the extent of content they might miss if they opt for a standard edition. The game, set between Star Wars Episode 5 The Empire Strikes Back and Star Wars Episode 6 Return of the Jedi, is scheduled to release on August 27th of this year across multiple platforms, including PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC. So this includes their response that has just come out that, in all honesty, I already saw how people were misreading it. And I think that even still, Ubisoft has missed the point that a $110 and $130 version of a game that does contain additional content is just too much. The DLC culture has kind of pervaded society anyway. And I understand that, on one hand, I have to hold these gently because, on one hand, we are seeing constant layoffs. On the other hand, the game companies seem to be greedy. But it's like, what's going on here? Who is not getting this extra money? Because for some reason we're seeing so many layoffs, and then we see stunts like this. So where's the dissonance, and how can we make sure that our money is getting to the right people? I saw somebody, I don't remember if it was Alarian or who, but somebody was saying, I wish that I could tip developers. I wish whenever I buy a game I could tip developers instead of the companies, because it's so money hungry, but at the same time you don't really know where your money is going at the end of the day for this $130 version of a video game.
And that's why people love Larian specifically so much, because they are on the forefront of, you will pay one price for our games. We will never take it from you, and you will get all of the content included in them.
Mm.
Like, that's it. That's Larian in a nutshell. And I think that's why people have become so drawn to them since BG3 and gone back like me and played their other games. And because there's so much of this other stuff going on.
Yeah.
And the rest of it is just dumb.
Yes. Well,
So.
I'm definitely no diehard like Star Wars video game fan. I'm not gonna like hunt them down or make them top of the priority list anyway. But I was interested in this one. I like a new Star Wars story. I thought it'd be kind of fun. But you know, it would probably be one that I would end up watching the story of before I'd actually end up playing it. So it doesn't necessarily affect me, but I don't know. I'm not surprised by Ubisoft. Like, it would be like hearing that Blizzard has done something skeevy with their pricing structure. Like, I've just grown to assume this is the case at this point. So hopefully, you know, I can't even say hopefully. This will change nothing, but it is good to see people talking about it, and hopefully at the very least we'll see more companies, more good guys like Larian come out of the woodwork and produce some work that deserves to be really given a lot of attention. Catching up here in the chat, Sugar Haiku says, seems like that's a big feature that everyone expected to be in the standard version of the game. So I will say, Jabba the Hutt is in the base game, it sounds like. And I assumed that from the beginning whenever they were like season pass. It sounds like you're buying a bonus mission with Jabba in particular, but like you're gonna get Jabba in the base game. So it really is just buying more content, more story content, but I don't think you're buying a whole new character, which was how people kind of confused the wording at first. And I understand how that happened, and I understood why people would think that. It makes sense. So yeah. It's strange things. Coyote says, I love Final Fantasy, but I cannot do the later stuff unless I get it for free. Too much stuff missed. I do think MMOs in particular, like FF14, are a little bit of a different case, but also not that much. Perry says, don't even get me started on the former ActiBliss CEO trying to suggest tipping to the publisher. You know, the devs and writers and testers won't see a dime of that. Was that who it was? Well, I liked the concept, even if I didn't like who said it. I do think that there's something to it if we could verify that it was actually going to the right people. So yeah, keep on unionizing. Coyote says, oof, yeah, Blizzard has shut down service needed for older Dragon Age games. Yeah, it's rough stuff out there, but I'm hopeful for less layoffs and more stories of people who are doing good. But that is sometimes tough to find. Hopefully, this doesn't too much hearken on the future of the game. Hopefully, the game is still good, and hopefully, they're able to, you know, speak to the audience that is super excited for the Star Wars game without mucking it up too much with the Ubisoft of it all. Okay.
I was going to say, it is Ubisoft.
Yeah. With the next one, let's get into some good news to close it out.
You could say it's good news.
It's great news. It's great news.
You could say.
It's not Idris Elba because he's already in it. He's already in it. So
exactly.
it can't be Idris.
And I also have issues with Keanu Reeves' voice acting, so that's why I picked this one.
I think he's Shadow. Shadow's boring. It works.
Well, maybe he'll actually have a role that like works for him then. Keanu Reeves is set to voice Shadow the Hedgehog in the upcoming film Sonic the Hedgehog 3, as confirmed by multiple sources and reported by THR. This casting news adds a high-profile talent to the Sonic movie franchise, which already included notable actors like James Marsden, Ben Schwartz, and Idris Elba. We love Idris Elba.
We all do.
Reeves' involvement is significant given his previous roles in major franchises and voice work in films like DC League of Super Pets and Toy Story 4. I didn't even know he was in Toy Story 4. The addition of Shadow was teased at the end of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and the character is expected to play a major role in the third installment. The film is part of Sega's Fearless Year of Shadow, which will also feature the video game Sonic X Shadow Generations. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is scheduled to release on December 20th, 2024.
I stand by it. I think Keanu is a great Shadow. Shadow is already a super weird character. He's moody, he's reflective, he whispers, and maybe that's just because Sonic Adventure was poorly mixed, and so you couldn't hear his voice lines over some of the music. But regardless, I think it actually super works. If you had told me that originally the Shadow in Sonic Adventure 2 was Keanu Reeves, I would have believed you. Like, I think that it's a one for one comparison that we got going on here,
Mm.
and I'm about it. I do think these movies are silly fun, and so I think that Keanu is also a pretty silly person to put in this role, and I think it just works. I do think it's the funniest sentence I've ever read. I don't know if this was from the IGN article or if this was AI that just threw this in because they know Keanu Reeves, but the fact that they said known for voice work in DC League of Super Pets, I mean, like, come on, lead with Toy Story 4 at the very least.
Yeah.
Hilarious
That's
what they
that
decide
caught
to
me off
draw
guard
out.
a little bit.
So
Caught me off
strange
guard.
stuff.
Just
I'm
a
excited
little
for
bit.
this movie. I'm going to super enjoy it. I'm going to go watch it. It's going to be a great time, and I'm happy for Keanu as much as I can be. And we'll see how it goes. Let's see. Coyote says, I know. Oh, we're talking back about Dragon Age. Yes, I've never played a Dragon Age game. They're ones that have perpetually been on my backlog.
They're so good,
That's what I've
Nathan.
heard. I've never played Dragon Age. I've never played Mass Effect. Those are like the two that
I
anytime
haven't played Mass Effect.
yeah,
but I
they're
love
always
Dragon
like,
Age.
those are the ones you're supposed to play if you're into like RPGs. And I'm like, nah, I play too many JRPGs. I don't know much about the Western RPG world.
I went through a Dragon Age phase where I played all of them back to back for the first time, and that took a good like 3 to 6 months of my life because I was just exploring everything and doing everything and talking to everybody. Very, very good.
I love it. Sugar Haiku is with me, excited for Sonic 3. I am also excited for the silly fun time. I will probably play Sonic and Shadow Generations. I enjoyed Sonic Generations enough, and I do like the levels that are throwbacks, and it sounds like if they threw in Shadow, it's just going to be more of the games that I super enjoyed. So it's a win-win for me. Win-win for me. Folks, with that, we're going to get into everybody's favorite segment of the show, Cryptic Critiques. That's right, it's time for Cryptic Critiques. This is where I take games that are much beloved and I try to find bad reviews from them and see if our special guests can guess what the game is based off of these bad reviews. We do have a bonus one this time. I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this, but there was one that I couldn't not put in there. So it's a hint. If you get through all three and you still don't have it, I do have a hint for you that may or may not give it away. We shall see how this one goes. But I'm going to be reading off all three prompts. Folks, please give our level 2 member Mayfly a chance to guess before you get your guess. If you want to, go ahead and like pre-type in the chat when you made your guess to see if you got it correct, or I'll give everybody a chance, assuming Mayfly is not able to get it, to guess at the end. So we shall see what becomes of this one. Mayfly, are you ready?
Usually you tailor these, but last time I was on, you didn't tailor it, so now I'm not sure what to do.
I hope this works. We will see. It should be fun. It could describe a lot of games. That's usually how it goes, but who could say? So remember, folks, these are 1-star reviews for a much beloved game. Used to say 5-star. Perry won't let me anymore. So this is our first prompt. If a creepypasta was an actually decent video game, but was still too derivative for me. If a creepypasta was an actually decent video game, but still too derivative for me. Anything
I'm
sparky?
gonna have to ask you if this one is tailored this time to me.
I mean, yeah, I tried to.
Okay. All right.
I try to always make
All
sure
right.
at the very least you've played it.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Okay. I have ideas, but I'm not settled yet.
Not ready for a guess. Okay, let's go to the second prompt. Second prompt is, had to quit because this game's relationships to his influences is at best obnoxious and at worst childish.
Interesting.
So
You're making me
we
wanna
have,
pull
if a
up my
creepypasta was an
Steam
actually
just
decent
to
video
see
game but
what-
still too derivative, and had to quit because this game's relationship to its influences is at best obnoxious and at worst childish.
Okay. Keep going.
Keep going. All right, our third and final prompt before our hint, depending on if we get there. Prompt number 3, is this game a commentary on the size of pockets on women's clothes? Is this game a commentary on the
thought I
size of
had an
pockets
idea.
on women's clothes?
I really thought I had an idea, and then
That threw
that
it for a
last
loop?
one totally threw me.
Well, that is a pretty random prompt to throw in there, and it was definitely a little bit of a goof and a gaff from the person that posted it. Do you think you got it? Because that looks like an epiphany.
Maybe.
Is that an epiphany face?
Maybe. Because I opened my Steam library just to look at what is in my Steam library. and something caught my eyeball, and I don't know if I should guess or let you give me a hint first.
I'd say guess first, and then we'll go for the hint, because the hint's like a bonus.
Is it Signalis?
It is indeed Signalis.
I knew it.
Do you want to know what the hint was?
What was the hint?
All right, so the hint for this one that was supposed to be a dead giveaway because this kept coming up over and over again was, do lesbian androids dream of Silent Hill? Which I thought was just a hilarious review.
Oh my God.
I always love a good reference.
It was the pockets one that got me because the first bit I understand. The second one I don't agree with at all. The third one about the pockets. So those of you who have never played Signalis, I think it have like a 90% success rate at Cryptic Critiques at this point, by the way.
Yeah.
I think I've only ever gotten one wrong.
You're killing it.
But you can only have 8 items in your pocket at any given time in Signalis. And there are boxes where you can put other things if you need to get them later. But at one time, you can only ever have 8 items. So that's what got me.
Yeah. So this is a game I have still yet to play,
Good.
but I do think it's really funny. I looked for like reviews that kept saying the same thing over and over again, and so I was like, that must be at least somewhat true of this game.
Oh yeah.
And so yeah, I thought it was super funny, and the hint is just fantastic. So a lot of references to Silent Hill, a lot of references to Resident Evil classic games. So.
Quixote, it is so much fun, but it is a mind-bending title, and I haven't even finished it yet. It will screw with your brain so hard, but it is such a fun and interesting game. I cannot wait to actually delve in and finish it. Whenever I play it, I get too obsessed with it, and then I lose sleep. So...
Love it. Well, I'm glad that you got it. Lots of chats in the clap, of course. Coyote says never played or really heard of. It's one that was kind of a sleeper for me. The only reason I knew of it was because it was on GamePass. I don't know if it still is, but it was one that really made the circles because of that.
Kind of, but in a different way, Coyote, because it's top down. And so I played on PC, so I point and click to go places and use my keyboard to move and stuff. It's top down, and it is very... Yeah, it's just very mind-bending. You think you know something when you play Signalis, and you do combat, and you deal with enemies, and you do these different things, and then it turns out you know nothing. And that is consistent throughout the entire game that I've played so far.
Yeah, super interesting. From the reviews, it sounded like it was kind of like Soma, a little bit like story-wise, narratively. And so intriguing. I do like a good horror game, and I love a good mind-melding game. So we'll see. It's on the list. It's on the perpetual backlog. We'll see when it ends up.
Go me.
Bumping up the ranks. All right, let's get into our next segment of the show. This is To the Discord. So every single Monday over in our Discord server, I post under the TWIG section, what news should we know about? And then we take some of those and we report on them here during this segment of the show. So this is news that has been submitted by you, viewers of the show, that are also in our Discord server. So if you're not in there, !Discord, thank you, sneaky pigs. Be sure to be in there, post your news every Monday, and maybe you will be selected as one of our 3 articles that we highlight during this time. The first one is from Sugar Haiku. Discord has taken decisive action against the Nintendo Switch emulator project Suyu and Sudachi, closing their servers and banning their lead developers, reportedly in response to a court-ordered injunction related to a lawsuit by Nintendo against the Yuzu emulator. The developers claim they received only vague notifications about potential IP violations, raising questions about the enforcement of Discord's own policies and the specifics of DMCA compliance. This incident highlights the ongoing legal struggles around emulation, copyright enforcement, and developer rights within the gaming community, as Nintendo continues its effort to control the use of its software and the related hacking tools. So this is fallout from the story that continues to keep on going about the 2 emulators that got canned and the continued waves of how that is being affected. Discord is certainly well known for having servers that are somewhat, I won't say sketchy, but they are definitely skirting certain laws. They're like trying to get around the kind of well-known spaces. And it's interesting to see this kind of happen and pop up and be a little tricky spot for emulation right now. Any thoughts on this one, Mayfly?
I love emulators. That's kind of where I stand with stuff like this. I played Pokemon Emerald, which is the only Pokemon game I've ever played all the way through, on an emulator, on my phone, in high school.
Yep.
First and only Pokemon game I've ever played all the way through, and I was obsessed. Would I have had the ability to do that and do it so accessibly otherwise? Probably not. I didn't have the refund, the finances at the time, or the funds at the time to go out and get something to play it and all of that sort of thing. So I love emulators, and I understand where Nintendo's coming from on one hand, but on the other hand, like,
Yeah.
you're big enough, you're fine. Like, does that make sense? Is that awful?
Oh yeah.
I don't
No,
know.
it continues to be. I mean, they are litigious as can be. That is what they are known for.
Mhm.
And at this point, it's like I can't be surprised at Nintendo doing this. My heart breaks and continues to break for games preservation. And there's no doubt in my mind that Nintendo is doing the worst at that. I don't think PlayStation does great either, but Xbox is definitely leading the field there. And I would love to see some more follow suit in the way that they preserve games. But the way that I try to support it is to support Games Preservation Society, listen to their podcasts, support their funds when I can, do what I can to get them up the ranks so that they can do more of that preservation work. And then, of course, that feeds into creation of services. I mean, understandably, you know, funds are what they are, finances are where they might be, and people have different life circumstances. But if they don't even offer it on Nintendo Switch Online or in another medium, then what are you supposed to do?
Yep.
How are you supposed to get a Pokemon game right now, aside from the ones
Yep.
that you can get on the Switch? You know, they had their like retro hardware on the 3DS, and they had their virtual, whatever it was called, the virtual console. They had the virtual console on the DS and then on the Wii U, and they just didn't carry it over to the Switch. And I don't know why. It feels like it's so straightforward. Like, why wouldn't you carry it over? But they just don't. And so whenever you can't share those kind of things whenever you buy somebody a console, you know, I think about that as a parent of like, whenever I buy Nora a console, what will I buy her and what will I assume she can play and can't play because of the limitations of preservation through the companies. So I'm hopeful for a brighter future with that, but this is not a bright, shining example of it. I do think Discord had to do what they had to do. I don't think that this is any reason to make Discord the bad guy. If that's what this article was trying to do, I think it's just the way that the cookie crumbles, unfortunately. They're the hosts and people are utilizing their space and they knew about it, so they had to shut it down.
Yep.
It's a rough time. Yes, Sugar IQ, yes, but they shut those Wahoos down and stopped supporting those older consoles. I feel the same. Yeah, the eShops and all that stuff. And Coyote says, I mean, you can go to Timu or whatever. The little game consoles programmed with Lost-ish games. Yep. Yeah, there's tons of stuff out there. There's tons of ways around it. And so, and you know, there will always be something. There will always be some way to access them in some way, shape, or form. But if you do that, then you have to live with the kind of crippling guilt, or you just have to kind of get over it and hope that you're not supporting anything untoward. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
It's a bummer. But what is not a bummer is our next news story.
Yeah. Okay. In a heartwarming display of community support within the gaming industry, blasphemous level designer Enrique Collinet revealed that Larian Studios, known for the acclaimed Baldur's Gate 3, if you guys didn't know, was a significant backer of the blasphemous Kickstarter campaign. Larian contributed a substantial amount to the project. I know it by heart, it's $1,000, but notably did not seek backer rewards for it. They just did it, y'all. This act of generosity is highlighted by the visibility of Larian's logo in the game's credits and on the Kickstarter page, underlining the studio's quiet support without seeking recognition. The gesture reflects Larian's own positive experience with crowdfunding, which notably propelled their own Divinity Original Sin series to success, demonstrating a pay-it-forward philosophy in the industry. I love Larian. I will shout it from the rooftops of the highest skyscrapers. I love Swen and I love Larian because they just do things like this and they don't expect anything out of it. They do it for things they support. They don't want any of the extra stuff that comes with it. They just do it because they're good people and they're a good company and they can afford to, and they want other people to have success that they've had in the circumstances with which they have also been through. And I love that. And it's beautiful. And they're perfect. That's all.
They do seem to be kind of the gamer's dream studio, and they're doing some really good things, and they're saying the right things, and they're illustrating that they are like following up their actions. They're walking the walk, they're talking the talk, and I think it's great. I do think that Kickstarter and things like that are such perpetuators of good projects that wouldn't get funding otherwise from the kind of big wigs of society. And so to see people that are in the industry supporting those that want to be in the industry is a big deal. For those of you that don't know Blasphemous, it's a 2D Souls-like, and it's a lot of fun, and they just got a sequel. So they, it's because of the funding of Larian and also thousands, if not tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, I don't know how many backed it, of people on Kickstarter that helped support this thing for any amount of money, that this was able to get done. And so we love to see it, and we love to see more support being offered to those in the up-and-coming industry, and maybe we'll see Blasphemous devs do the same for the next up-and-comer behind their weight. Cool. Good stuff. All right, our next one is from Sugar Haiku as well. The release of the Fallout TV series on Amazon Prime has sparked a significant resurgence in the entire Fallout video game franchise, with players flocking to titles new and old on Steam. Notably, even the first game in the series, Fallout 1, has experienced a dramatic 553.3% increase in player numbers, demonstrating the wide-reaching impact of the series adaptation. Other games like Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and particularly Fallout 76 have also seen substantial jumps in their player counts. I can't help but notice that they left one out there, with Fallout 76 hitting on an all-time peak following a free-to-play promotion. Fallout 4 remains the most played of the series, poised for a next-gen update that may further boost its popularity. This trend mirrors the effects seen with other adaptations like The Witcher and The Last of Us, where the TV shows have significantly boosted games' sales. Yeah, I totally agree with Sugar Haiku. Fallout news is everywhere right now. It is kind of all over the place, in particular with New Vegas popping up, and I won't give any reasons for why that may be. Stuff. It's good stuff, and it's exciting to see that game pop back up. I dropped off of New Vegas. It's the only Fallout that I haven't finished. And so well, that's not true. Fallout 1 and 2, I've also not finished, but it's the only since the 3D, well, they were 3D. You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say. Ever since Fallout 3 and on, I've played all of them except for
guys. He's got a Bethesda problem. It's fine.
It's pretty true. It's pretty true. And I want to get back into New Vegas and finish it, especially considering the TV show. And I enjoyed 76. I was a day one with 76, and I didn't hate on it as much as everybody else did. I thought it was fine. It was missing narrative, but it was crunchy. And if you like the building aspect of Fallout 4, then you're going to love Fallout 76. If you didn't like the building aspect of Fallout 4, you shouldn't be playing Fallout 76, because that's the only reason to play it. That's the only reason to play it. But then they added narrative, and now it's got more of a reason. So, yes, I will eventually, Sneaky Pigs, I will eventually play New Vegas. I started it, and I just couldn't. I got pretty far, too, and then I don't know what happened. There were too many other games, and I fell out of it, but I'm sure this is good. This is good. I'm glad to see that Fallout is getting attention again, and there is no doubt in my mind we're getting a season 2, if not a season 3 of this TV show.
They've already approved a season 2.
I'm not surprised in the slightest.
Yeah, they've already approved a season 2. Even after the first episode only dropped, they had already approved a season 2.
Yes.
For Fallout.
Well, just watching it alone, I think 3 seasons is perfect. I think they're probably going to try to go for more, but I want 3 seasons. It is a perfect 3-season show. I can see where it's going. If I were writing this one, if I were the producer and screenwriter, then I know exactly where it would go. But I do know Jonathan Nolan, and I know that sometimes Westworld goes on longer than it ought. So, we'll see how this one goes as well. Artemis Danny says, my boys love the Fallout games, although I've never been able to get into it. They are, they're an experience, to say the least. They're definitely games that either people really love or really do not love. They are not necessarily universally acclaimed, but the best part of them for me is noting the particular voice actors and then just the crunch of collecting things. So.
Liam O'Brien is all over Fallout New Vegas. Every male NPC you speak to is Liam O'Brien, and it is the best thing in the entire world.
Oh, thank you for the posture check. Yes, I will have to get back into it. So I'm excited to get back into the world of Fallout. I still have Fallout 1 and 2 on my backlog. I'm going to play them. They're both going to happen as well. So I want to experience all of Fallout games, because you know what? My favorite part about literally all of them is, doesn't matter which Fallout game you're playing, I think the lore is so interesting. I could go and just read the wikis. I just like the world they've built, and I like the stories that they tell. And every single time on TikTok, I'm scrolling by and somebody's like, listen to the story of Vault 101. I will watch that entire video. I'll watch the whole thing. I don't care if I've seen it before. I'll watch it again because I love those.
You know what's great about that, Nate, is you can experience that within games like New Vegas firsthand.
Well, and I have, and I will continue, and I will. I want to, and I'm going to, and I'm so excited to get back into them once time allows. All these games, they're so long. and I got Pokemon to play. I got other games to
Uh-huh.
play.
Uh-huh.
So good
Uh-huh.
stuff, folks. Let us know if you are getting back into the Fallout world in any way, shape, or form. If you're playing through any of the games, or if the show got your attention any of those ways. Let me know if you liked the show, what you thought of it, because I super enjoyed it, and I anticipate it being a nerdy sermon very soon, if not this Sunday. So, with that, we're going to go into our next segment, my personal favorite of the show.
At this point in nerd history.
That's right. It is time for At This Point in Nerd History, everything that was released on this day, April 16th, throughout nerd time and space. We got some games, a TV, bit of news, and then a couple of movies as well, which I see that Mayfly has highlighted exactly one, and I don't know why. Is that
Yes, but also I love that movie, and also
such a good
I
movie.
love the other movie that's related to that category of TWIG.
Love it.
So I will say both of those.
All right, so I'll start with games and TV, and then Mayfly will wrap us up with movies. So these are things that came out on April 16th throughout time and space. In 2021, sleeper indie game that you've likely never heard of, Emily is Away, Heart, which is like the less than, and then the 3, Emily is Away 3. I love those games so much. If you grew up during the era, then I think you would super enjoy that trilogy. 2014, Hitman Go. I remember the day that came out. I still have yet to play any of those games. I didn't play the Tomb Raider one either, but I thought it was neat to see like real video games come to the Apple Store. And so that was pretty exciting stuff. And then in 2002, life changed forever when Spider-Man swung into the PlayStation 2. Ugh. I can still like just picture swinging around those cities. So good. Television, a interesting fun fact. On this day in 1962, Walter Cronkite began anchoring the CBS Evening News, starting today back in 1962. With that, take it away with some movies.
Movies, and because I didn't read this document before I looked at it, I just highlighted these just now. 2010 was Kick-Ass, which is crazy. I can't believe that was 2010. That's so
Right?
wild.
14 years ago.
That's wild. And then 2004 was Kill Bill Volume 2, also The Punisher, but mostly Kill Bill Volume 2 is what we're concerned about.
Yep.
That's
I
crazy.
think it's
Wild.
so crazy. I wonder how old was the bride in Kill Bill. Was the bride as old as the movie is now? Like,
I know,
'cause
right?
I feel like she was pretty canonically young.
Yeah.
When she got married. This is not something to look up now, but that's a fascinating question because Kill Bill Volume 2, not even the first one, is 20 years old, and that just simply does not make sense in my brain. But so good. So good. So yeah, these are a couple of fun ones in there. Enjoy pretty much all of these. I think they were all some good ones, except for Hitman Go, which again, have not ever played, but maybe someday I'll go download that, let's see, 10-year-old app and see how well it runs today. Probably not. All right, with that, folks, we're going to go into our penultimate segment of the show. All right, it's time for upcoming releases. This is where myself and our level 2 guest Mayfly will go back and forth one at a time, talking about 3 things that are coming out in the near future. They can be games, they can be movies, they can be TV shows, they can be whatever. I actually had a backup for number 2 in case you took it, Mayfly. And so I have it because it looks like you didn't, but I was prepared just in case. So this is anything that comes out in the next week or so, because I know some people sometimes fudge the numbers a little bit. So why don't you start us off with your first one, Mayfly?
So my first one is by the makers of Ori, by the developers of Ori and the Blind Forest. It's called No Rest for the Wicked. It is, if I could enter a valid date for my birthday and go into Steam. Sure, I was born in 1987. That's fine. It is a intense and precise action RPG coming out actually 2 days from now. I kept all of mine up to this week. I'm very excited for anything that Moon Studios makes, to be fair. I loved Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I played the ever-living everything out of those. And I 100%ed them multiple times. I was obsessed with them. So I'm excited for anything that Moon Studios does. And it is very up my alley. It's visceral, it's gory, it's actiony, it looks really good. Highly recommend.
I haven't even heard of this. I'm super intrigued. I don't typically like ARPGs very much, but I do really like. I liked Ori a whole lot, but that
Yeah.
was more up my alley with that kind of Metroidvania platforming style. So
It looks really good. Look into it because I mean, it
the
looks
art is
not only does it
super
look beautiful,
different,
but
super
it looks
polished.
really deep in
Yeah.
like story. You know?
I'm curious about it,
Um,
especially knowing it's from that dev team. I'm super curious.
yeah, it looks really good.
All right, my first one, welcome in, St. Bear, also. Glad that you're here. Appreciate you as well. My first one that's coming out of the next week is a horror movie in which a group of kidnappers kidnap a 12-year-old ballerina, only to realize that she's no ordinary girl. It's called Abigail, and I have no idea if I'm actually even going to see this movie or not, but it just really looks interesting. I don't normally like jump scare movies, and so it looks like a pretty heavy jump scare movie, but I do really like the premise of a like reversal of fortune, you know, where you've got this like kidnapping situation. So they're like obviously bad people, and then they kidnap a monster. Like, I'm intrigued by that. And I like the concept in and of itself. So this may be one that I have to watch with all the lights on after it releases on streaming, but it looks like an interesting story, or at least interesting enough. What's your second one there, Mayfly?
Kingsgrave comes out tomorrow. So Kingsgrave is a old school Zelda type adventure, darker, gloomier, puzzly adventure game by Egg or Chicken Games. It reminds me of old school Zelda, which is exactly what they were going for, which I love, which I'm obsessed with. I mean, where's my tattoo? Wrong arm. This one. If that tells you anything about me, y'all, anything Zelda or Zelda adjacent, I am hooked on. So it looks really good. Disease is taking over your town. You are the king. You have to fix it and go on adventures and do all of the stuff and the things to build your kingdom back up. It just looks like fun. You fight people and you do things, and it just looks cute and fun. So
Well, I love it. I love it. It looks like a good one. I am intrigued to know more. It actually reminds me of Streets of Rogue a little bit with the art style, which what didn't come up during our AAA initiative, but they definitely announced some more stuff about Streets of Rogue too. So I don't know why that wasn't in there. My number two, Harold Halibut, officially is coming out on Xbox Game Pass day one. So if you want to play that and you have Game Pass, you can get it right away. It is a modern adventure game with a strong focus on storytelling and exploration. Take in the atmosphere and be a part of this utopia turned awry. If you haven't seen this one yet, folks, it is a claymation style adventure story game. I will say that the claymation style might be a little bit of a limiting factor. I did play the demo and it was a little rough. It was tough to get into some corners, into some areas, and you got stuck a little bit here and there, but it does look really nice. It might be one to play with a walkthrough nearby, if I could be so bold as to make that recommendation. So that might be in your best interest, but looks pretty good, all things considered. And I do really like the aesthetic. And I love a good story. So I'm here for that.
my last one, Nate, you might be interested in this one because it's more up your alley than technically it is up mine, but it's very dark and depressing, which is why I chose it. It's called The Mildew Children. It is a 2D game blended with a visual novel. It is on Steam, labeled as a grim tale about a village inhabited only by children who follow savage pagan traditions.
Oh my.
A young witch named Kirfiel, along with her sisters, are bound to perform a macabre ritual in order to save their village. And so you play as her and you go through kind of, I guess, how running this town would be for children who are forced to do terrible things.
Do you want to know what's so funny? So you know how Steam has the is this game relevant to you? Here's some similar games.
Did it pick it?
Do you want to know what both of them are?
What are they?
Trigger Happy Habit, Danganronpa, 28 hours on record. Danganronpa V3, 32 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess it's my kind of game.
And dark, and it's more visual novelty than I would usually play. But the dark aesthetic and story is what drew me in, because if y'all know me, I'm a little messed up in the head sometimes. So.
Oh, murder trial with kids and weird aesthetic.
Yeah, comes out tomorrow. Officially planned release date is tomorrow, approximately 15 hours from now. So there you go.
Man. Stylized bud. There's interesting stuff. My third one is Europa. On the moon, Europa, a lush terraformed paradise in Jupiter's shadow, an android named Z sets out in search of answers, and you are to run, guide, and fly across the landscape, solve mysteries in the ruins of the fallen utopia, and discover the story of the last human alive. This is a launch game, the first game, the pilot game from Helder Pinto, a new game dev team. So I'm excited for new indie games, and this one certainly looks up my alley as far as the exploration element goes.
Yeah, it does.
And it looks very pretty. And I like to see a team bringing their A game with a new IP. Always excited for it. Yeah. So good stuff, folks. Let us know in the chat if anything is coming out in the next week that you are super excited for. And we are going to get into our final segment of the show. Meme of the week. That's right. It's time for our meme of the week. It's a throwback this week from our own Danny G, or Yeet the Boots, Carol Baskins. We've got Carol Baskins meets llamas with hats. So truly couldn't be a more timely meme here on both ends. So we have Carol Baskins up at the top saying, I put him in a tiger cage and they ate him. And then you have the character from Llamas with Hats saying, Carol, that kills people, which is great. Such a good reference. I do love that. And that was the one that got the most love and reactions over on our memes and goofs section of the Discord. There was a coup that attempted to form, but it sadly did not live up to snuff. This one got the most attention this time. But if you would like to be considered for our meme of the week next week, then simply join our Discord, go to our memes and goofs section, post your memes, and if it gets reactions and it gets more reactions than the others, then it'll be our meme of the week. Probably. I never say definitely because there will be no scamming my system. I'll do the best that I can to make sure that it is a true meme of the week worthy of the title. With that has been our show. And so I'm going to go ahead and throw it over to Mayfly for a closing shout out. If you have anything that you want to point towards, tell people where you are, any of those sorts of things, take it away.
I Mayfly everywhere. So I don't usually use anything else other than the Discord. I'm in the Discord as much as I can be, but that's about it. I don't do much. I don't use the social medias very much, but if there is a social medias, I am either Mayfly or ex-Mayfly. So there we go.
There you go. Probably playing BG3 or maybe playing Bug Fables.
Yeah, more than likely Bug Fables right now, to be honest with you.
Love it. Well, folks, we're going to go hop over to the Discord after this. This has been Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, you likely enjoyed this one. Remember to give us a 5-star on your podcasting app or click that like button and recommend the show to your favorite nerds out there. Folks, we're going to take a moment to thank our subscribers, the people that have subscribed to this channel. Of course, we appreciate everyone that supports us with their views and anything that they are able to do for us. But these are the people that went a little bit extra, so we want to shout them out. Nerd Pastor Nate, Tina Christina P, Sis Pineapple, Strange Done, Pineapple Pope 4, Sugar Haiku, Deacon Shannon LS, Spunky Tutors, J Money 634424, Gobi Church, Weesh Yakeem 4752, Twyla 27, Maybe 30 Bats, Trombone Dalek, H-Man 1009, Tennille Rathana, Mindful Marlena, Sneaky Pig 633, Zando Calrissian, Wizen Lemur, Jake Live, Perspective, and X Mayfly. Folks, with that, is there going to be Twig next week? The answer is yes, we should be good to have Twig next week. No promises on the week after that. That is a little season that we're entering called General Conference here in the United Methodist Church, and I cannot promise I will not be busy that night. We will see. So maybe in the next week, but definitely next week, the 23rd, we will be having Twig, and I look forward to seeing all of you then. With that, folks, we're going to wrap up the show with our 3 things that we believe about every single one of you out there, whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God or hate church. We still believe these things to be absolutely true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. We want community with you. It's why we host silly shows like this. Number 3, that you, yes, you matter. You are a person of sacred worth. The world is a better place. Why? Because you are in it. Folks, with that, until the next time that I see ya, which may be right now over in the Discord, or it may be for Twig next week, or it could be for any other streams or YouTube videos or things that we are doing. I look forward to seeing you then. Bye-bye!